I'm Caroline Fredrickson. I'm with the American Constitution Society. I've spent my life in politics in the United States. I've worked in a variety of political positions, from being a chief of staff to a senator, deputy chief of staff to the Democratic leader in the Senate, Tom Daschle. I worked in the Clinton White House on a presidential campaign, on a Senate campaign, and I have absolutely experienced the role of money in politics in the United States in a very direct way. I've even raised money for candidates and am thoroughly familiar with how the system operates. It's, I think, surprising and dismaying to Europeans, even to many Americans, to find out how much money affects the political system in the United States. But one of the areas that I think is less well understood is that it's not simply the direct contributions to candidates that have such a tremendous impact, but it's actually what we call independent expenditures. It's money that is spent by millionaires and billionaires and big businesses that doesn't go directly to candidates, but is often informally, not formally, because legally it can't be formally coordinated with campaigns, but it helps support candidates by paying for advertising, social mobilization. Facebook ads, for example, from Russia are a form of independent expenditure. And this money is so extraordinarily large and has such a large impact on how Americans understand politics that I think it really swamps the role of, overwhelms the role of the direct contributions to candidates. And so I think when we try and understand the role of money in American politics, we have to step back and look at a much bigger picture than simply how much money was given to Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, or Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, in terms of small donor contributions or large donor contributions, and really understand the broader context of how the super wealthy and what are called super PACs in the United States have influenced the dialogue around elections, around issues that is of an order of magnitude beyond, I think, what people really appreciate. It affects not just the presidential election and the congressional elections, but state elections, including races for the judiciary, which again is, I think, something that is tremendously surprising to Europeans, to others, to Americanists. Perhaps I'm not sure of how many countries actually elect judges. Very few, I think. But the idea of electing judges and allowing an enormous amount of money to influence how people approach those elections and how voters vote in those elections is an extraordinary thing, and particularly because these judges make decisions about election administration. So my main points in the conversation we're going to have at the Institut des Amériques here about money in politics is really that there's much more than people understand, that the direct contributions are really the tip of the iceberg, and that below the surface of the water, we see that there's actually so much more money in the system that it really has a tremendous impact on the way politics happens in the United States, has a tremendous impact on policy, and it's little understood how important it is. One of the major differences between Ray and myself is that his knowledge is very much more than mine, for sure, in terms of political science and evaluating the data in a comprehensive methodological way. I come out of the law, so I'm going to be speaking more about the Supreme Court and how its decisions have allowed money to influence politics in a much greater extent as they have dismantled. The court has dismantled the regulations that Congress had established to control the amount of money that it could affect politics. I've also had a lot of direct personal experience from my work on Capitol Hill for senators and for House member and in the White House as well as on campaigns. And so I've actually seen how fundraising happens in real time at the same exact moment that lobbyists for industries are coming in to talk about policy matters. They come in for a meeting. One industry, like the aviation industry, for example, might come in for a meeting to talk about trade policy. And that same day, later in the day, there'll be a fundraising event at a restaurant somewhere off Capitol Hill where they give money to the politician. And this is the kind of thing that actually has a deep impact on how politicians are influenced, because they are spending a lot of time with special interests that have a deep influence. So Ray is going to speak more, I think, about actually the actual concrete outcome of that tracked in numbers. I have more personal experience. I think we may agree more than we disagree on how important it is, but we have different backgrounds to explain the role that it plays in American politics.